o'clock here in the UK, and we're going to get started. So glad to have you all with us for the next 45 minutes. We're going to show you how to monitor your physical servers like a pro from vendors like Dell, Hewlett-Packard, Fujitsu, IBM, and Cisco. I hope I'm not spoiling too much, but yeah, we're going to be looking at how to monitor all of those things. So my name is Natalie, and I am your host for today. And I'm going to go through some housekeeping with you first. So you may have noticed that you're all muted and your cameras are switched off, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to hear from you. So down in the bottom of Zoom, I think, however your setup is, you'll see the emojis. And so you can use those to react to what you see and hear. So feel free to give that a try now with your heart, whatever. There we go, there they are. So that's all working. We're also running a poll or two later, so I'll be popping up on screen. I'll be asking you questions, get some feedback from you, and you can ask your questions in the Q&A feature throughout. So don't hesitate to just ask a question if it comes to mind. We actually have a couple of people helping us today. So Marco and Stephen are in the background, and they'll be answering some of those as we go. But we are going to leave a bit of time at the end as well to answer some live, hopefully, if everything goes to plan. And last but not least, the session is being recorded, and you're going to receive the recording along with the presentation as well. So don't worry if you see things that you want to copy, because you're going to get the presentation. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to the experts now, Jasmine and Fabienne. By the way, it's Jasmine's birthday today, so let's wish him a happy birthday. And maybe a little, yeah, cheery icon, lovely. Happy birthday, Jasmine. So these guys know our customers inside out. You're on very capable hands. They know their stuff. So I'm going to appear again later and pass over to Jasmine now, who's going to take you through the session. All right, see you in a bit.
Fabian, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Natalie. So with no further ado, let's start with our agenda today, covering the following 5 topics. First, we will talk about a short introduction about PRTG typical usage. Next, we'll disclose about the reason why server monitoring is so important. Then we'll discuss server manufacturers that are natively covered by PRTG. Then we're going to disclose a special bonus tip, so please stay tuned for that. And at the end, we'll have some time to answer some of your questions live. So let's start with a brief introduction. So people may have a difficult task keeping an overview of everything in a growing infrastructure. Even if hardware technology can differ greatly from various vendors, dependencies still must be managed. And when issues are not always apparent, a few hardware metrics are not sufficient to find out about overall usability. For some customers, their IT team simply spins up PRTG to satisfy a manager request like show me or main servers on a map. They run auto-discovery once, admire the network map, then file PRTG away. Months later, the map still works, but nobody's ever checked thresholds, custom sensors, or reports. PRTG hums along, oblivious to any deep dive insights. So in the daily use, an administrator points PRTG at a handful of critical servers, only glancing at ping sensors' green status every morning. No one's ever touched the built-in CPU, memory, or disk sensor, nor configured notifications beyond the default email. So PRTG confirms everything is up, but capacity trends and early warning signs go unnoticed. Instead, PRTG can provide much more, like proactive failure detection by instantly flagging failing parts. It can provide comprehensive coverage, including all chassis hardware like temperature, voltage, fan speeds, and drive health, just with a single sensor type. PRTG provide early warnings so you can plan ahead, schedule maintenance in off-peak windows to reduce downtime. A centralized dashboard and alerts on all servers will also prevent issues before users even notice a service interruption. So what are we going to cover exactly today? Things like CPU errors, memory overloads, faulty network cards. It seems like something is always going wrong with server hardware. In reality, this is normal in the growing IT networks, especially when devices are not always produced by the same manufacturer. Here's a list of 5 server manufacturers we're going to cover in today's presentation: Dell, HPE, Fujitsu, Cisco, IBM. For those server hardware, PRTG comes with pre-configured sensors, mainly based on SNMP and Redfish protocols. As some of you may know, Redfish was released in 2015 with the goal of replacing IPMI. intelligent platform management interface. For this purpose, Redfish relies on a RESTful interface transmitting data via HTTPS using JSON data format.
Okay, we are already at the poll. So we want to hear from you actually. What physical servers what vendors are you currently using? And you should see a screen pop up now. So go ahead and answer those. And I actually saw in the Q&A IBM or Lenovo. Now's your time to say what you use. And I'm intrigued, very intrigued. What's your guess, Jasmine and Fabienne? What's the top?
I was expecting like that. So Dell, PowerEdge, and HP ProLiant to lead the list.
We are reading right now, and we have almost all of you have participated. So if you haven't yet, see if you can. And yeah, it's pretty clear. Dell and HPE at top. All right. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you for sharing, Melly. You can all see now what those results are. And I'll leave us to get on with the rest, and we'll be back again for another poll a bit later on today. Thank you.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Natalie. That's very interesting. Especially we saw that Lenovo ThinkSystem is the third preferred one as well. So we'll discuss that a bit later. Our goal for today is really to help you expand your monitoring on physical servers. So you can see everything you want and need in a single place. So not just hardware metrics, but the full visibility into the health, performance, and availability of your critical systems. So this webinar really needs to give you ideas and inspire you to leverage on different PRTG sensors to monitor your physical servers, no matter which vendor you use.
I think the stage is mine now, correct?
Absolutely,
Fabian?
yes.
Cool. Thank you, Fabian. So let's all face the reality check. We are using a lot of servers that are operating 24/7 in the background, and they are quietly handling thousands of operations every second. Now, when we look at from the IT admin perspective, what we see is, okay, VMware is up and running, the VMs are accessible, everything seems fine. When we look from the user perspective, accounting system is working, the CRM is working, internal web pages are working, so no issues at all. But here is what is happening that we cannot see. The power supplies, they are gradually losing efficiency. Fans are collecting dust and slowing down. Memory modules are developing problems. So now the basic monitoring shows everything is green, and I'm referring to the VMware and applications that I just mentioned until the moment it all goes red. By then it's too late. This is what many of our customers have told us. They wish they had known this before the first major hardware failure. When we think about SMB, enterprise, private cloud, and public clouds, the backbone on everything are the physical servers, and they need to operate 24/7. They need to work smoothly without any hiccups so that all of the applications can be accessible. In this section, I will pinpoint on some of the silent killers of the physical servers that we need to keep an eye in order to avoid any potential problems. I like to make analogies, and you can think about the physical server as a like Formula One race car. You wouldn't just monitor the speedometer and fuel gauge, but you would monitor all of different components. You want to monitor the pressure, the brake temperature, engine oil, and everything else. So every component matters because when one fails, the whole race is over. I would say the same applies to our servers because all of the components that we see here are interconnected. When we look at this image here, this is Dell PowerEdge. And we have different components from 1 to 13. We have the CPU, memory, disk, RAID, fans, NICs, and some other things. Now with number 7, this is one of the very critical component that's called silent killer. Can you tell me in the Q&A what of these components is number 7? And while you are doing that, I will give just a small intro into that. When we check about all of the failures that are happening with the physical servers, number 7 is one of the known as a silent killer because it just doesn't suddenly die. It degrades slowly. And yeah, we have one comment. It's power supply, correct? We have two power supplies working in redundant mode, and the failing power supply creates voltage fluctuations that stress every other component in our server. And when it starts failing, it cascades through every component on the list. And this is why it's important to monitor. In this example, I'm referring to power supply, but all of these components are very critical, very important to monitor. Now, the next question is, okay, how do we gather the data? We have all of these components. What are the protocols that we use, and what we can actually read in PRTG? Now, when it comes to physical service, all of the manufacturers, they are not trying to hide this information from us. The information is available, and all the physical server vendors, they build a sophisticated management interface right into hardware. And what we actually need to do, we need to connect to this interface, and then we need to enable SNMP or Redfish. SNMP stands for Simple Network Management Protocol, and it's on the market for the last 30 years. But while Redfish is a modern REST-based management API, and we can use to monitor different metrics. Now, some older servers, they're only based on SNMP, while the modern servers are based on SNMP and Redfish. PRTG supports both versions, SNMP and Redfish, and we can get the different type of the data depending on what's available from a specific server. Now, when we speak about the management interface here, again, here we see Dell PowerEdge. And this is the iDRAC interface number 11. Basically, we connect that to the network, we assign the IP, and we connect to our web management interface, and then we enable SNMP or Redfish, depending on what we would like to do. Now, the process of enabling SNMP or Redfish is quite straightforward. I learned while giving many trainings, this is where many people get stuck. They assume it's complicated, but enabling this protocol is usually just a few clicks on your server management interface. I would compare that as like enabling Bluetooth. It's that simple. And I will show you now just one example of the iDRAC interface I have on my Dell PowerEdge server. Basically, when I connect to my interface, I go to the iDRAC settings, network settings, and I can see here SNMP agent. What I need to do, I need to enable SNMP agent. I need to configure a community string, which is like the pre-share key. I need to choose SNMP protocol. We have different versions. We have V1, V2, V3C, and we need to configure SNMP port. Then the same we need to configure on the PRTG, and then we are ready to use SNMP-based sensors to monitor our physical server. Then if you are talking about Redfish, it's even more simple. It's just one click here where we need to enable Redfish on our iDRAC interface. And from there, we can use Redfish sensors available directly in PRTG. Now you can say, okay, you are talking a lot about the Dell PowerEdge, but what if I'm using other physical vendors like the HPE, like Fujitsu, like Lenovo? Basically, the concept is the same. Each manufacturer has their own management interface. For the Dell PowerEdge, we have iDRAC. For HPE ProLiant, we have ILO. For Fujitsu, we have iRMC. For IBM, we have IMM. For the Cisco, we have UCSM Manager. For Lenovo ThinkSystem, we have Xclarity Controller, XCC. Or any other vendor that's not here, the concept and is basically the same. Now, I'm done with this part. Now I'm giving microphone back to you, Fabian, where you would like to talk a bit about the sensors.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Jasmine. This is very enlightening information. And we are now going to take a deeper look at those servers specifically. So as Jasmine already briefly introduced, these are the list of servers we'll be covering. We have Dell PowerEdge, HP ProLiant, and also HP Blade System, Fujitsu Primergy, IBM System X, and Cisco UCS.
Fabian, if I may ask a question, please.
Sure.
You are mentioning a couple of different vendors, but what if I'm using Lenovo? What if I'm using Huawei, Supermicro, any other vendors? Can I still monitor them using PRTG?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. Indeed, one of our attendees already asked the question. And yes, the answer is PRTG can monitor various other server models using SNMP and Redfish protocols. And we will talk about this later. So let's start our review with the Dell Remote Access Controller, or DRAC, that is the management platform which has been available on Dell servers since 1999. So it comes as an expansion slot rack or integrated into the main board, namely iDRAC. PRTG provides you with 2 native sensors that require a minimum iDRAC 7 or Open Managed Server Administrator. So by using the system health sensor, you can keep an eye on the global system status, but also on chassis, cooling, intrusion, memory, power supply, CPU, temperature, and voltage. Then the physical disk sensor will also help you monitoring the health state of your disk, roll-up, components, and smart monitoring. Next is the HPE ProLiant. So here we provide 5 native SNMP sensors based on integrated lights out or ILO for HP ProLiant and also HP Integrity servers. So this sensor requires the HP Insight Management agent and the web-based enterprise management. There, PRTG provides 5 native sensors. First of all, the system health provides a lot of information, the overall status, as well as thermal configuration, fans, CPU, power supply, disk controller, and temperature. So noticing that the sensor channels are displayed according to the device and the sensor configuration. So this is something a user can actually set up the way they like. We provide as well 4 additional sensors that are helping with physical and logical disks, network interfaces, and as well as memory controller. Another one on HPE is the blade system. There we provide 2 native SNMP sensors for monitoring the blade status and the power status, and as well as the enclosure condition and the enclosure manager condition. Next on our list is the monitoring of Fujitsu PRTG. These servers are based on integrated remote management controller, iRMC, and as well as SNMP protocol as usual. So that sensor may also apply to other iRMC-enabled devices from Fujitsu, like PrimeQuest servers, Eternus storage devices, and Celsius workstation in racks. So by using this sensor, we can monitor the overall hardware status, but also CPU, memory, battery, power supply, and RAID informations. For IBM's Systemic server specifically, PRTG is using the Integrated Management Module, IMM, and provides 4 native sensors, as listed here. The first one is the System Health sensor, which always provides a lot of comprehensive information about the health, the temperature, voltage, fan, and power supply status. And 3 more specific sensors for monitoring physical and logical disk, as well as physical memory. We will complete our tour with the Cisco Unified Computing System, with PRTG providing here 4 native sensors to ensure these servers running error-free. We have system health, physical disk, chassis, and blade. And that last one is warning you about individual blade states using lookup files that can be adapted to match standard channel format for operability and power state insights. So Natalie, we have a poll here.
Yeah, sorry, it takes me a minute to unmute and become alive again. So we've got another poll, and Melly is going to launch it now. And we'd like to know what the most critical metrics are that you monitor on your physical servers. So please go ahead and respond now. Tell us what you're monitoring. Give you a bit of time to read those options. There's quite a few there. Maybe we need monitoring all of them option. Let's see what's top here. And while you're doing that, I've noticed that someone said in the Q&A that this isn't new functionality. It's great that you're familiar with this functionality, but there may be some people on here that aren't. But I love that you know so much about PRTG. Maybe we're going to ask you to present next time and share what you're doing and how you're monitoring. Might be in touch with you after this. But how are we looking? Cool. Have we got almost everyone? Yeah, we're close to, oh no, a few more. We'll leave it for another 30 seconds or so. What can we make of this? And we'll share the results as well, so you can all see what we're looking at, because obviously the panelists here, we can see how you're responding, but I understand that you guys can't, you just know what you've added. All right, so it's stabilizing a little bit. I think you've kind of given us your answers, and in the Just to be aware of the time, I think we can share the results now, Melly. So you should be able to see what we see. And what are your thoughts, Jasmine, Fabian? Were you expecting this?
I was expecting that the CPU and memory would be on the leading, and I can see they are sharing the first place. In terms of the not actually the CPU is number 1 and memory is 2. I was expecting more also on the hardware health and the fans, power supplies, drives, rate. I think this is exactly what I thought about, and this is what we'll be covering in the rest of the demo.
Great.
Yep, indeed. This is aligned with the plan of what we're going to cover here.
Alrighty, then I'm going to disappear again and leave you to it. See you again.
Thank you, Natalie.
Yep, thanks a lot, Natalie. So here is a topic that we started discussing already, and I answered a question earlier in the chat about other vendors. So how PRTG can handle other server types as well. Well, thanks to the flexible architecture of PRTG, it comes with a great capability to import information from many hardware server manufacturers. And by the way, not only that, but many other type of devices, of course. So especially for those using Redfish-enabled devices, PRTG is currently providing 3 sensors that you can see here. First one is the power supply sensor, which is a very good indicator of a power outage issue. We have the virtual disk sensor, which ensures that disks are running and with enough capacity. And we also have the system health sensor, which provides information about chassis status, downtime, drives, fans, memory, power, and so on. So implementing those Redfish sensors is a really easy 4 steps process. So Jasmine already talked about it a little bit before, but first you need to, of course, enable Redfish on the management controller itself. The second step would be to specify the correct credentials for the monitoring device within PRTG. Third step is to add a Redfish sensor to the monitor device using our native list of sensors. And the last step is simply to define what channel you want to choose and associate with the specific notification triggers. So in addition, PRTG can do even more than that we covered already, which is a great news because by combining hardware-related data that we discussed already, we can add the additional information coming from other sensor types like ping, uptime, HTTP, SSL, and traffic, and directly on physical servers. So PRTG gets a complete view of the server availability and performance, and not just raw metrics. So this will be a great help for smarter troubleshooting, combining both hardware and service monitoring. So we know, Jasmine, it's today your birthday, so happy birthday again. What is it that you have as a gift for attendees?
So I do have first I have a demo that I would like to share, and also there are some bonus tips in the end of the webinar. And these basically tips are separating beginners from monitoring professionals. So stay with me. Okay, now I will do a demo. Let me open my PRTG installation. So what we talked for the last couple of minutes was, and thank you for all of emojis here. What we talk about were different physical servers and different vendors, and what we see here is the list of physical servers that we support with PRTG, meaning that we have a native sensors that we can monitor them. We have a Dell PowerEdge here, then we have Lenovo, we have a Fujitsu, we have HPE ProLiant and the Blade system. We have a Cisco UCS, we have IBM System X. And here in the bonus, we have some of the things that we'll share a bit later. Now, for the Dell PowerEdge, what I will do now, I will add some sensors. So I will go to add sensor. I will type Dell PowerEdge, and I can see there are a couple of the sensors available. For this specific series of the physical servers, we have 2 sensors. We have a system health and we have a physical disk. So I will add a system health sensor, and then PRTG will do a meta scan. It will find my server. I will click on create, and it will take a couple of seconds until PRTG establish communication with this server, and until this sensor goes from gray to green state. While we are working, I will again add another sensor for Dell PowerEdge. So I will type PowerEdge, and I will add physical disk sensors. Now we have two options here. We have, if you have a multiple disk, PRTG will be able to detect all of them. I will select both of them, and for each of them, PRTG will create a new sensor. Now I will go back to my Dell PowerEdge to see if PRTG sensors are green, and I can see Dell system health is green. And I will open this to see what kind of metrics are covered. And this is basically what we mentioned a couple of times. When we see the concept of monitoring different physical servers, it's the same because first we want to see what is the overall system health. And that means checking the voltage, temperature, the processor, power units, power supply, memory modules, global system, everything around the health system of this specific server. And this is the same concept we would apply for the Lenovo, for the HPE, or any other physical server. And we can see here everything is green, and the last value it's okay, so everything is in operational mode. Now, if I go back to my Dell PowerEdge, I can see that two new sensors are created for monitoring of my physical disks, and I will open my SSD. And I can also see that everything is working fine. And we have the component status is in okay. The disk state, it's online, it's not degraded, it's not in a critical state. And the smart warning is, there are no any warnings associated with this specific sensor. Now, these are the two sensors that are natively available for my Dell PowerEdge sensor. But one of the things that Fabian also mentioned is that you can go beyond the native sensors that are relevant for monitoring of the hardware components. For example, here for my Dell, I can also add Redfish sensors. And when I add Redfish sensors, I will expand monitoring capabilities for this specific sensor server, and I will know if something goes down for the metrics that are not supported in SNMP sensor. But also beyond that, what we can do, we can enable just the generic sensors, and we have this feature that's called recommended sensor detection, which is able to detect the sensors that are relevant for my Dell PowerEdge server. What I do here is I can see I have here two recommendations. I will go with this one that's recommending 13 sensors. When I check the details, it says uptime. It's monitoring the network traffic on interfaces. It's checking SSL security and HTTP. For example, if I would like to monitor if my management interface, in this case, iDRAC, is available via web interface, then I can do the HTTP check. And I can see much more information here. What I will do here, I'll click Add these sensors. So this is very handy because you don't need to add this manually. You can add it just by doing one click, and then PRTG will preload this physical server with more sensors. That will come here in a couple of seconds. Let me do a scan now. And you can see here we have much more sensors than we initially added. It's for monitoring the traffic, monitoring the HTTP connection to the web interface, checking the SSL certificates, and more. So it's very easy. So basically what you do is what I showed you. You do recommended sensor activation. And another option would be, if you would like to extend, is to do the auto discovery, which I will show you shortly. This was Dell PowerEdge. Now, one of the thing that we mentioned, okay, you mentioned that you have a native sensors for Dell, for Fujitsu, for HPE, for the Cisco, for IBM. But I have a Lenovo systems, and I would like to monitor my Lenovo, but you don't have a sensor that's called Lenovo SNMP. That we got you covered here. So in this case, we are using Redfish. So I will go to my Lenovo server. I will click Add Sensors, and I will type Lenovo. I have a typo here, Lenovo, and I can see the 5 sensors available. 2 sensors are related to storage, Lenovo EMC, which is not part of the discussion here, but we are talking only about the Redfish. Now I have 3 sensors. I have a power supply, I have a Redfish system health, and I have a virtual disk. I will click on the system health, and then PRTG will detect my system. It's Think System SR630. I will click on Create. And then the PRTG will create a Redfish sensor that is relevant for this Lenovo system. So I will do a scan now to see what metrics are available. While I'm waiting, let me add another sensor. I will again type Redfish. and I'll click power supply. Now PRTG will detect available power supplies with my Lenovo server. And in this case, we have 2 of them. I will select both of them, and then I will click on create. For each of these power supplies, PRTG will create new sensor. Okay, I will do a scan now, and then I will add a third sensor, and then we will review what metrics are available. I will again go to add sensor. I'll go to Redfish, and then I will click on Redfish virtual disk. Virtual disk will detect available volumes here. And I can see in my case, Metascan found 3 of them. We have RAID 0, and RAID 1. We can see there are different disks. We have SSD here. I'll select all 3 of them, and then I will create new sensors. Again, for each of them, a PRTG will create a new sensor. So I will again do a scan now to see the metrics. And while I'm waiting, I want to show you available metrics in these 3 Redfish sensors. We have computer system health. As you can see here, Redfish system health. And basically the concept is the same as with Dell Power Edge, where I used SNMP. What I see here, I see different channels. I can see the system status. I can see the processor status, PCI device status, memory, fans, drives, and all of them are in operational state. There are no any problems. The second sensor that I added was a power supply. And here with the power supply, I'm monitoring the voltage, input voltage, input watts, output load, output watts, power efficiency, and the power supply status. So whenever something goes down here, for example, we have 2 redundant power supplies, one goes down, then we will notice that in this sensor and get a notification from PRTG. And the third Redfish sensor is a Redfish virtual disk that's monitoring the state of the disks. We can see the capacity is 446 gigabytes. We can see that no any critical errors, no offline, everything goes okay, no warning, everything's in the healthy status, which is what we want to see in our infrastructure, in this case with our physical service. So these were 3 Redfish sensors that we can use and apply not only to Lenovo, but also to all other servers that support Redfish. As a pre-requirement, it's important to enable Redfish, and from there on, we can add Redfish sensor. With Dell Power Edge, I showed recommended sensor detection. But as we are talking here about Lenovo, we can do the same, and we have a different options here. We can add a ping, we can do memory, and also 33 other, or we can just do a right-click, auto discovery, run auto discovery. PRTG will then run auto discovery, and then will add corresponding sensors that are relevant for my Lenovo server. And you will see in a couple of seconds, the new sensor will be popping up here. So these are the 2 options: recommended sensor detection and auto discovery. Now going back to my group of the servers we have also a couple of more physical servers where we have a native sensors. One of them is Fujitsu, and for Fujitsu we have only one sensor, but that sensor has a multiple counters, meaning we can add multiple sensors out of him. If I click on add sensor, I type Fujitsu. Again, I can use a Redfish if my Fujitsu server supports Redfish, or I can use SNMP Fujitsu system health. I click here, and then PRTG will do a Metascan. It will find all of our available counters that we can monitor, and from here we can select all of them, or we can only select the ones that are super critical for us. Let's say that's the CPU, the memory, the RAID controller, RAID status, physical and logical disk. When we create that, then PRTG will create sensors for them. I will not create that because they are already preloaded, but I will open one of the sensors to show you how that looks like. Let's say I will take the system health. This is Redfish, sorry. iRMC CPU here. I can see that what the CPU is being used, how many has logical cores, physical cores, what is the speed, and what is the status. And then I will expand to HP ProLiant. For HP ProLiant, we have 5 sensors. We can monitor the system health. This is basically the same concept as I show for Lenovo and for Dell PowerEdge. And then we can monitor the network interface. We can monitor physical disk, logical disk, and we can monitor memory controller. The goal of all of these is to check if the components are working fine. And if not, then we would need to take an action. Then for HPE blade system, we have 2 sensors. One is for monitoring the blade system, and one is for monitoring the enclosure. They also show a different metrics here. In this case, it says that the blade status is okay and power status is on. If I go back, I will not go in each of these sensors. We want to send a message that this is possible. The part of that was already covered by Fabian, and I'm just showing how that looks in our environment. And for the Cisco, we have also 4 sensors. We can monitor the physical disk, we can monitor the chassis, and then we can monitor the overall system health to see if the all components are fine. And finally, we have IBM. IBM System X is a end-of-life server, but we have many customers who are using IBM System X, and then we have these 4 sensors that can monitor the physical disk, logical disk, memory module, and the system health. These were the sensors that are available in PRTG and that we can use to monitor the physical service vendors that we mentioned, but also any other that you might have in your infrastructure. Now we have a bonus part. So some bonus tips that I would like to share with you. First of these bonus tips is what I mentioned, device templates. But I also want to say here that these were the foundations and how the things works across different server vendors. And I want to share the techniques that separate monitoring's beginners from monitoring professionals. They're nothing complex. It's no complex configuration. There are simple practices that will save you some time and help you to have 360 monitoring of your infrastructure. The first one is the device template. So let's try to imagine the situation. We are using Fujitsu PRTG server. We configure all of the sensors. We configure the thresholds, and everything is set up properly. Then we learn, okay, we're going to expand our network infrastructure. We will add 10 more physical servers that are based on Fujitsu PRTG. Now, when we get to the second Fujitsu PRTG, and we're doing things from the scratch, manually adding each sensors again. By the 10th server, we will be spending much more time configuring than actually monitoring, which is something that's not the case, shouldn't be the case. Now we will use the device templates that will help us to pre-configure the sensors and the thresholds and then apply them to our Fujitsu server. So this helps in like fast deployment on similar servers. It helps us to do consistent monitoring across all the data center. It's great for MSPs and the large setups, and really cuts down manual work and errors. It saves a lot of our time. So I will quickly show you how that works. So let's say I will take the Fujitsu. What I will do, I have a sensors that are pre-configured. I will create device template. Create device template. I will call that Fujitsu PRTG. Okay. And then here I will click on OK. And PRTG will create device template. Now I will go to my device templates. I have 2 servers, they're empty. What I will do now, I will apply device template to them. Right click, auto discovery, run auto discovery template. I will type Fujitsu. I will select Fujitsu PRTG, and then I will click on OK. And then PRTG will do auto discovery using that specific device template. I have a different model of the Fujitsu PRTG, and I will do the same. Run auto discovery template. I will type the name of my device template, and then I will click OK. So now it will take some time until it's loaded, but you can see that the sensors are being preloaded. Exactly the same sensors as I have on my initial PRTG server. So then this really help us to automate and save time in regards to our servers. That was the first tip. It's quite easy. The second tip is about, and I think we had a question about that. Okay, what if I would like to monitor some different layers, not only the physical server? One of the best practices we recommend is to ensure 360 monitoring, everything from the physical to application layer. When you think how the data travel to the network, they go from the physical to application layer. It's the same with the server rack, with the data center, and we recommend the full coverage from the physical to application layer. Now, when you think PRTG can cover everything, we are talking here about physical servers, but if we are having networking part, power, environmental, switches, routers, applications, operating system, everything can be fully integrated with PRTG. So basically, the story here is the following. Let's say we have a server rack, and in server rack, we have UPS, PDUs, physical servers, storage, networking part, hypervisor, VMware operating system, and apps. And then we are monitoring only physical server. Imagine the situation when a physical server is not available. You cannot access the management interface. If you are not doing full monitoring, you don't know, is that the issue with the physical server? Or maybe there is an issue with the switch where that physical server is connected. So, and we don't recommend that scenario where the focus is only on one layer. Instead, what we recommend is you have a server rack, you are focused on all of the different components. We're talking from the UPS to the application layer, and you have what we call 360 monitoring coverage. So you know when something goes down, you know where is the root cause, and you know where to look at and how to fix it. Why I'm also mentioning this, it's best practices, but one of the things that we are doing these in the coming months are also webinars that are covered from everything from the physical to application layer. Last month, we did a webinar on monitoring virtualization, hypervisors, VMware Hyper-V. And before that, we did a part about the networking. And the next month, we'll be doing a webinar on monitoring UPS PDUs. And I encourage you to join and learn more about the whole coverage on that physical layer, UPS and PDUs. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Please do feel free to join those, and you will get an invite in your inbox. So keep an eye on your inbox, and we'll send invites out when those webinars are online. You can go to the website now and sign up for any of those, as Jasmine said, and also the recordings are on there from previous. So I know we've only got a few more minutes. I want to leave time for some Q&A. You may have noticed some of the questions have been answered in the chat or in the Q&A thing. But there were a couple, I think, Jasmine, that you answered some already, but I think there's a couple more that you may want to respond to.
Correct. Let me just have a look. The first one was about how we can monitor different layers, not only focus on the hardware. As I already mentioned, everything is possible from the UPS PDU's perspective to the application layer. We have a sensor that are based on different protocols, so SNMP, SSH, WMI, API, and many others. And I invite you to join the upcoming webinars, but also to check the webinars that are available on our website, where you can get a bigger picture on what is possible to do with PRTG. That was the first one. Then also the one that you, Natalie, mentioned is we have one of the customers who's very experienced with the things that we are mentioning. It's, I think, all monitoring expert. And we are very happy to hear that. The focus here was about the overview of what we can do with PRTG from all of the different perspectives. So I hope you like that. Fabian, is there anything you like to respond maybe?
Yeah, there was a question that was answered by my colleague already, asking about a big difference between results providing information if the hardware is asked directly instead of talking with the running OS like VMware or Windows. I think that's an important question because indeed you can gather information from different ways, but by talking only at the OS level, you may be missing some important early warnings that is provided directly from the management interfaces. That's why we recommend both approaches, but of course start with the management interface sensors that we have displayed today.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we're pretty much on time. And any questions we don't get to, but I think we've actually got to them all, but you will also receive a copy of the answers as well in the follow-up email. There is just one quick poll. I would like to ask how useful you found today's session. So Melly, if you could launch that, we just want to get some bit of feedback from you and what else you'd like to see in the webinars in the future. So perhaps you've got an idea of what you'd like to see, and we can see if we can deliver that for you. So thank you very much for being with us, and thank you again to the speakers for presenting and sharing these insights with us. And the next one, as we say, is October 8th. Monitoring Matters series on all about your power supply consumption and everything along those lines. Jasmine already mentioned. We also have another webinar in October as well. It's more about our product roadmap and what's coming up. But as I say, we'll be sending out both invites to you so you can register for those in your own time. And you will be looking out for an email this week from myself with the presentation, the recording, and also the answers to those questions. So that's it. I think we're on time, a little bit over. And in the meantime, you can always reach out to us. Happy birthday, Jasmine. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
And everyone else the same.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.